Hey there, it's Shauna. Welcome to your weekly astrology forecast for the week of April 15th. So this week is all about open possibilities, and we have a full moon this week. We have a lot of expansive energy in the air, and so I'm excited to share the astrology of this week with you. As always, I have 3 tips for you to make the most out of this week. So before we have the full moon, the first aspect that's happening is Venus square Jupiter. And I really love this aspect because it is super creative. It's very open. It's like a curious kind of feeling. And so this is happening on Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday. No, Monday. So this is something that we've already been building towards. Venus is in the sign of Pisces, and then Jupiter is in the sign of Sagittarius all year until like November-ish. So Venus has just made, in the previous weeks, conjunction with Neptune and with Mercury as well. And so there's already been a lot of super creative, very open kind of energy, especially around anything artistic or creative, and around relationships as well. So, of course, Venus is the planet that symbolizes relationships and social connections. Jupiter is the planet that symbolizes openness, growth, inclusion, even like justice to a certain extent as well. So the thing is, too, is this is a square aspect. So there's a little bit of tension here. Sometimes when there's a square, it can feel like there's 2 different things that you want to happen at the same time. And sometimes it means making a compromise or a sacrifice or just prioritizing things. So all that to say, it may feel like there's just a lot that is possible this week, or a lot of ideas even, but I think it's going to feel more like more in the realm of social connections and art, or anything aesthetic if you're involved in that world. Next thing that's happening is that full moon in the sign of Libra. So this is happening at 29 degrees of Libra, the very end of that sign, and it's exact on Friday, the 19th, at 4:12 a.m. Pacific time. And so this is cool because we had our full moon in Libra, let's see, that was March 20th at 0 degrees of Libra. So double full moon, kind of cool, but like at opposite, the very beginning, 0 degrees, and then the very end, literally first degree and last degree. So what does that mean? So full moon is already this time of like the max amount of expansion that we can have. It's a celebration point, a culmination point. And in the sign of Libra, this is all about the other and like very Venusian kind of energy, social connections, also like fairness and justice, and that dance of finding balance or feeling insecure when there is not balance. So because this is happening on Friday, there's going to be a lot of external energy like moving out, and sometimes leading up to a full moon, there's just literally a lot happening in the world. I mean, there's always a lot happening in the world, but it can sometimes feel like your external life is more active. That's full moon energy. The other thing that I want to say about this is because the full moon is happening at the end of Libra, right after that, so this leads into the next thing that's happening this week, is very shortly after that, the sun will move into the sign of Taurus. So we have the full moon with the moon in Libra, sun in Aries, that opposition, and then the sun hops right into the sign of Taurus. So there's kind of like a shift here where it's like full moon, and then there's a sudden change in the conscious energy, which is the sun, from the individual, the self, assertiveness, Aries, to Taurus, which is more about finding peace and calm and steadiness. It's very grounding. So I think all this week, especially when we have that Venus Jupiter, it may feel just like there's a lot, and there's a lot happening, there's a lot opening up. And then over the weekend, when the sun moves into Taurus, it may feel more stable. And I think that's all I want to say about that for now. I want to give you 3 tips to make the most out of this week. Tip number 1 is to explore possibilities. So this is because of the Venus-Jupiter, but then also because of that full moon. And for those of you that were on my live Instagram the other day, I talked about someone actually, I think Jen, one of my beautiful followers, brought up, like, how do you follow this weekly forecast with your own birth chart? And so if you want to do that, a great, like, simple way just for this week is to look at where you have Libra in your birth chart, like which house Libra rules, or which planets you have in Libra. And notice, like, what you were feeling, especially, let's see, when was that? The last full moon, March 20th, March 19th, 20th. And then how you're feeling this Friday, and notice, like, where there are similarities, because that's going to be activating the same area, the same house of your chart, because it's Libra, Libra. So that may be a little interesting experiment for you. I don't know how I got on that tangent. Tip number 1 was exploring possibilities. So, like, full moon, there's like a revisiting also. There's a, when the full moon is in your chart in a particular area, it illuminates that area and it brings a sense of culmination, big or small, you know, subtle or more overt. But it's like a highlight. It's like someone's taking a highlighter and putting that in your chart, and you might even want to do that just for fun. So pay attention to that, explore possibilities, see what is opening for you. Tip number 2, find beauty. And that's important because the Venus-Jupiter, full moon in Libra, Libra loves beauty. And then also with the sun moving into the sign of Taurus, Taurus is also about beauty. Taurus is the more like sensual and sensory side of beauty, but beauty nonetheless. So definitely look for where you can incorporate beauty into your world. There's going to be, like, that's going with the flow of what's happening this week. Tip number 3 is to be flexible. So I say that because Venus, Jupiter are both in mutable signs. Mutable signs are the double, it literally means double-bodied, or that's where the term comes from. And so it's like a flex point. There's like a this and then that. It's like a paradox. And I think to some extent, same with the full moon in Libra, there's like this changeableness, even though Libra is a cardinal sign. It has a certain amount of duality to it, and then the full moon itself is literally duality because there's the sun and the moon. So be flexible this week. I think that goes with, like, being open and exploring as well. So those are your tips, and then I'm going to pull a card for you. So if you have a particular question, you can focus on that now, or this can just be a general card for the week for you. Oh my gosh, I love this card. So I pulled the Strength card. And so this card literally is about strength. It's about, like, if we take the symbol literally, it's about looking into the mouth of the lion, looking into that which is ferocious. And this speaks of not brute strength. It speaks of, like, feminine strength, because she's, like, if you look at it, she's actually being very gentle, and the lion is sort of like allowing her to look inside his mouth. And of course it is a female feminine figure there. So I'm curious what this makes you think of. Let me know in the comments. And maybe there's a certain area of your life that this really resonates with, but it's definitely a card that's about self-confidence and strength from the inside out, and not necessarily like forcing yourself on others, but like exuding this this strength from the inside, from a sense of pride, like the lion represents pride. So that's your horoscope for the week. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please share it with a friend who you think would appreciate it as well. One thing that I wanted to do this week at the end was say thank you to all of my patrons and give you all a shout out. So I want to say thanks to Jessica K, Julian R, Diane Z, Lydia M, Angelia S, Caitlin I, Justin, Serena, Melissa, Laura, Annie, Marcia, Emma, Nadine, Jennifer M, Nellie, and Anna, and Danica. So thank you all so much for joining me on Patreon. I appreciate you so much. And I appreciate you even if you're not on Patreon. I appreciate you watching these videos and enjoying and appreciating and letting me know how you feel. I always learn a lot from anyone who interacts with me. So thanks for being here. And I hope you have a great week. I'll see you soon. Namaste.